Oh, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This is the Joe Gaither Show. Welcome in right here to the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com, a part of the BamaCentral.com network, and we are really excited to bring you our Wednesday show. It's going to be a third show. Wow. Already made it 3 shows without getting fired. That's excellent. But we're going to have a fun show today. We're going to have a lot of interesting topics to get into this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time you're listening to this. We're going to be talking. About Darius Miles. Darius Miles just had kind of an unfortunate situation break in his case. So we're going to talk about Darius Miles. We'll also talk and chat about Alabama's victory over the Kentucky Wildcats yesterday in the SEC tournament. We will talk about Alabama Super Regionals in the softball this weekend. Alabama's going to be hosting Northwestern. So will we see Montana Fouts? We'll talk about those 3 topics, and we will talk as well a little bit about football and some running backs conversation. So I want to invite you to jump in and join the show at Joe Gaither6 on the Twitter machine. You can leave your comments, your questions, queries right there, or on the Facebook side, you can find me at Joe Gaither, and then of course on YouTube as well. So if you're listening to this on podcast playback, we appreciate you guys listening on Spotify, and we appreciate you checking us out on BamaCentral.com. So very pumped to be get started on show number 3. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's get right into it. Darius Miles. You guys all know. If you don't know, here's your quick synopsis and backstory. Darius Miles was involved in the spring shooting that happened right here on the Strip here in Tuscaloosa. Darius Miles, former basketball player for our Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. And so Darius Miles, you all know, after the LSU home game, the Alabama Crimson Tide won big time, 25 point victory. The guys are celebrating on the Strip. The night turns tragic with a shooting and a death to Miss Jamia Harris. And absolutely, our thoughts always are with Jamia Harris and her family. A young son that's not going to grow up without a mother. That's obviously the most tragic part about this story. But today, the breaking news and the news that kind of you are interested in, Darius Miles had a bond hearing, and unfortunately, he was denied bond. He was denied bond in a circuit court. He was denied bond. Tuscaloosa City Circuit Judge Daniel Pruitt, unfortunately, denied bond to Darius Miles. Now, this is a little interesting to me because of what we have seen play out since January 15th. January 15th, obviously the night of the murder, Darius Miles and Michael Davis end up in custody. Michael Davis, the alleged triggerman, and Darius Miles, the supplier of the firearm. Now, a lot of added context have come out since the January 15th shooting, and this creates questions and creates questions about Darius Miles' guilt. Darius Miles and Michael Davis's guilt. Well, obviously, it doesn't change the fact that Jamia Harris is passed away, but details have come out over the last few months that maybe perhaps Cedric Johnson was involved and was the aggressor in the case. Today, in the Tuscaloosa Circuit Court, Daniel Pruitt heard from Mary Turner. Mary Turner, the lawyer for Darius Miles, essentially put on a character defense and put up several quotes and brought up several eyewitnesses and people who know Darius Miles very well. A lot of them actually were Alabama basketball related, pastors in the local area, and former teammates, mental health counselors, all advocating for Darius Miles to receive bond today. Now, it didn't happen. He was denied bond, and only Judge Daniel Pruitt, can really answer that question. Apparently, there will be another revisiting of the bond, but it's not going to be. It wasn't granted right yet. Now, we all know. If you don't know, Darius Miles, his mother moved down to Tuscaloosa to kind of oversee her son handling his business. You've got numerous people showing up in court today to represent and stand in for Darius Miles. Noah Gurley, Alabama basketball fame, seeing how Darius interacted with the community of Tuscaloosa, shows me how I was supposed to give back as well. Javon Quinterly, JQ, wrote, he's a true family man. Pastor Michael Wingard wrote, one of the most well-respected and well-behaved young people. We all saw Darius Miles while he was on the basketball team as kind of an enigmatic character. Always fun, always dancing, always trying to have a good time. Maybe he wasn't always doing exactly what Nate Oates wanted him to do as far as taking it seriously, taking the game seriously, but he was a very, in my opinion, valuable member of the team, because I think I think he was a good teammate. I think the team loved him for his kind of carefree attitude. Look, I think Darius Miles, from all accounts that I've heard, is a good man. And it sounds like a tragic situation, a terrible situation, really led to the death of Jamea Harris. Now, you can say, oh, don't be out at 1:45 in the morning, don't be drunk, don't have a firearm, this, that, or the other. All those things are true. All those things are absolutely true. But with respect to today's bond hearing and Darius Miles, it is clear, it's come out that Darius Miles will not receive bond. Quite yet. Now, on the positive note, Cedric Johnson was served his subpoena. There was some question marks. Yeah, there was some question marks about whether Cedric Johnson had been served his subpoena to appear in court and to basically tell his side of the story. Since the January 15th night, Cedric Johnson has been not in the wind, but not really forthright telling his story. I think silence is golden has been his strategy. But a couple of weeks ago, Mary Turner and the law announced that, or kind of let it out, that they were going to subpoena him for this case. I think his side of the story is vital to this case. And we didn't know if Cedric Johnson had been subpoenaed quite yet, or if that subpoena had been successfully served. This morning in the courtroom, Cedric Johnson shows up. And Miss Mary Turner, before at 8:42, before the hearing got started, Miss Mary Turner stood up and asked if Cedric Johnson was in the courtroom. He raised his hand, and then the Turner Law Group served him his subpoena. So that subpoena was served successfully today. We'll see how the judge and jury, how the law reacts to things going forward, and we will obviously keep you up to date with everything you need to know about the Darius Miles, Michael Davis, Cedric Johnson saga right here on BamaCentral.com and the Bama Central Broadcasting Network. If you haven't been following the case because you haven't paid attention to the case since Alabama was eliminated in the Sweet 16 by San Diego State, that was a fun night in Louisville. I understand, because the media has kind of moved its focus to other areas and other avenues. But yes, we are going to continue to follow this story out until its conclusion. Whether Miles and Davis end up being guilty or end up being acquitted, we will have to see. It sounds like the self-defense case does have a lot of merit and does have some strength behind it. But you never know what's going to happen in a court of law. I was talking to sources earlier this week, and I was expecting Darius Miles to receive bond today. I was. And so to wake up and kind of follow the news, our reporter, Katie Wyndham, is following that for Bama Central. To wake up and follow the news that Darius Miles' bond was denied, it stings a bit. It makes me, of course, the judges are going to do their due diligence and really err on the side of caution. But I don't think that Darius Miles is a flight risk. I think he's very intent on clearing his name in this case. And I don't think that Darius Miles, from what I know of Darius Miles, is the kind of guy to go out there and cause a lot of trouble. You let him out on bond, I don't see him furthering and getting into deeper trouble. That's just my opinion. I am not the judge, jury, or executioner, so we will see what the Tuscaloosa Circuit judges do, Circuit Court do for Darius Miles going forward. So we'll see what happens. Mary Turner pulled out all the stops. I'm reading a lot of the reports from BamaCentral.com and from a lot of our other reporters who were in the area. It sounded like a packed courtroom this morning, and we will have to kind of see what happens next. Now, Michael Davis was not participating today because Michael Davis applied about a week ago to have his to have his case. His attorney John Robbins applied about a week ago to have his case filed under youthful offender status. He applied for youthful offender status because at the time of the murder of the shooting, that he was 20 years old, so he was a youthful offender, and so the judges and the court will make a determination on that July 21st. So 2 months away for kind of your next developments in the case. I wish for justice to be served on all accounts. I know that I want to reiterate that our thoughts are with Jamia Harris and her death. That's the most tragic part about the story. Of course, it's terrible for Darius Miles and Michael Davis to be to be incarcerated at the moment, but justice is paramount here, and I think that it may take a while, but given some time and given some patience, we will see all the facts of this court of this court case come out, and we'll see justice be served for Jamia Harris. So I'm confident of that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this case develops, because I think the national narrative of Darius Miles and Michael Davis being bad guys and being criminals, I mean, while caught in a terrible situation, while finding themselves in an awful situation, I don't think that characterizing them as bad people or as nefarious people with ill intentions in their heart, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. It seemed to me like, at least from some of the reporting from that night and what's going on, that Darius Miles was really trying to protect himself, protect his girlfriend, protect other people, and ended up caught in a bad situation. So our thoughts are obviously with the Harris family. Our prayers are obviously with the Harris family as they continue to process the loss of their daughter, and obviously raising her son without a mother. That's a terrible, tragic thing. So I am against all gun violence in any form. We are not. We are pro. I am pro Second Amendment, but dude, guns are very dangerous, and so I want to encourage responsible gun ownership throughout any platform that I'm on. So that's my thoughts on Darius Miles. His new development for today. It was denied bond by Judge Pruitt at the Tuscaloosa Circuit Court. So we will see. We'll continue to follow that on Bama Central. You can follow Katie Wyndham as she was over at the courtroom today. I'm going to hopefully try to get Katie on to talk softball and to talk some court cases in the next day or so to kind of get some more expertise, some boots on the ground with Miss Katie Wyndham. All right, let's take a quick pivot. Let's take a quick pivot and go into last night. Yesterday on the Bama Central on the Joe Gaither Show, as a part of the Bama Central Network, we had our colleagues Austin Hannon and Will Miller on the program. Really appreciate Austin and Will. Austin pulled a long day. He started with Coach Saban. He spent some time with me. He had some rain delay action. He and Will Miller had some rain delay action up there in Hoover. And then we had a good game, a great game, a good performance by the Alabama Crimson Tide. The baseball team continues to be on fire. Beating Florida yesterday 4-0, taking down the Gators, we're playing Florida today. No, we're playing Florida today. Taking down Kentucky 4-0. It was Kentucky 4-0 behind the backs of Hunter Furtado. Hunter Furtado, we talked about that. Really, that was kind of the focus of our conversation with Will Miller and Austin Hannon. Was what are we going to do? What's Jay Jackson's plan with the pitchers today? Being yesterday, and we knew he announced that they were going to start Hunter Furtado. Will Miller said that it was basically because of his strong outing against Troy the week earlier down there in Troy. And man, he gave the ball to Hunter Furtado. Jay Jackson gave the ball to Hunter Furtado, and Hunter Furtado rewarded him. Wow, what an outing! 5 innings, 2-hit baseball, no runs, only 2 walks, only 2 strikeouts, but just controlled the game. controlled the game from the pitcher's mound. Yes, got in trouble in the third, fourth inning. Got in trouble in the third, fourth inning. Got himself out of it, and really just showed true grit and determination on the mound to come out. Will Miller and myself were messaging back and forth during the game. Are we pushing Furtado too long in the fourth inning? Are we risking it? Are we stretching this? Because he came back out through in the fourth inning and in the fifth inning. And I think some of us were a little surprised at just the length that he pitched. But in a tournament situation, Furtado, it was great. It was excellent for you to put on that performance in a tournament situation. You set up the entire week ahead for the Alabama Crimson Tide team. You set up today's matchup with Kentucky at 4:30 because what did you do with the bullpen? You go Furtado for 5 innings. Cade Woods came in for 2 innings, shutout baseball. Alton Davis, 2 innings, shutout baseball. And so you're saving the arms and you're allowing Jay Jackson to really have the entire playbook have his entire playbook at his disposal later on throughout the rest of the week. And I think it's great. Cade Woods came in the 6th and 7th. Yes, the 6th and 7th, and ended up with bases. Kind of got himself into a little bit of a jam, and ended up striking his way out of it, having a lot of emotions. Cade Woods with the one strikeout, but it was huge to close out. I believe that was the 6th inning, where Kentucky was threatening. All right, so the pitchers held up their end. And amazing. Great job. Good, really fabulous job. And can we just say Jay Jackson, pitchers coach, moved up to interim head baseball coach. Jay Jackson, is he the best interim head coach that that Alabama has had in a situation? Not a lot of other great names come to mind, but performing at 9-2 since he's been given the head job. I think we're still way early on, oh my gosh, should we make him the permanent head coach? And I think Greg Byrne is going to conduct a thorough search. But Coach Jackson has put himself, I think, in that conversation to be considered as the permanent head coach. I don't think it's as cut and dry as a lot of our fans were, a lot of the Alabama fan base was getting into on the Twitterverse in the last couple days. I don't think it's as cut and dry as just hire him and let's move on. But I do think that he has put himself in the conversation to really be considered to lead this program going forward. Now, you highlight the pitchers, you can't say enough. You cannot say enough about Andrew Pinckney. If you didn't see Andrew Pinckney last night, he's worth watching the Alabama games for. Yes, 9 players out there, but Andrew Pinckney is electric, and he's by far the best athlete that's on this Alabama baseball team. And maybe somebody says, "Oh, Joe, you just don't know this team well enough." But every time I see this team, he's the fastest. He's got the best arm. He can hit. His athleticism is off the chart. He's making diving catches out there in right field. He's slamming home runs over the fence. Yesterday, a big home run, a 2-run shot in the Met. I mean, if you haven't been to the Hoover Met, it's a big ballpark. It's a big ballpark, and for him to get one out, that's quite an accomplishment. I think Kentucky had 2 or 3 hits that got almost through the wall or got to the wall, and Kentucky might have said, oh, in a smaller ballpark, in a different ballpark, if we weren't at the Hoover Met, maybe we'd have some runs on the board. But Andrew Pinckney, my man. All right, responsible for 3 of Alabama's 4 runs. Well, obviously has the 2-run home run. In the 4th inning. Then he gets on base in the 6th inning, brings in another run to make it 3-0. And this is right when Kentucky's kind of still trying to threaten and get back in the game. Bama's got runners on 2nd and 3rd. Pinckney just hits a rocket to the third baseman. Third baseman can't really control it. Throws it in the dirt to first base. First base error. Pinckney advances to 2nd. On the error, gets the RBI. Okay, that's great. He did great on the scoring side of things. But flip it to the other side. On the defensive side of things. If you don't have Andrew Pinckney in right field in the 2nd inning? Second, third inning, he's getting Kentucky's threatening. Furtado's kind of shaky to get started, and ball goes out to the right fielder, and Pink makes the catch and Guy tags up from third base, tries to get Kentucky on the board, wants to get them up ahead, get them the lead early. And goodness gracious, Andrew Pinckney just like a rocket shot. Like a rocket, threw him out at home plate, and so just an amazing athlete. And if you're not watching him play, you're missing out. In my opinion, you're missing out. And so today you're going to be able to watch him at 4:30. You're going to be watching him at 4:30. I'm expecting Luke Holman to take the start for Alabama. Get us back to kind of our weekend rotation per se. Florida obviously coming in with the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament, coming in with the number 1 seed and having an amazing year. But Florida, I mean, you think back to our series with Alabama and Florida earlier in the season. Alabama loses down in Gainesville 2-1. Gets the Sunday game, or ended up playing a doubleheader. So lost the Thursday game, played a doubleheader on Friday, and won the second part of the doubleheader. So Florida had already won the series. Now, what can you take away? You've now had April and March, April, and most of May. 2 months later, 2 months since you've seen this team. And yes, Florida has been playing great down this entire year. But shoot, you just take Alabama's last 3 weeks in a snapshot. You just take Alabama's last 3 weekends in a snapshot, and nobody's playing better baseball than this Alabama Crimson Tide team. Do I think that Alabama needs to respect Florida today? 100%. Do I think it's very possible that Alabama loses today? Yes, very possible. But it's also equally as possible, in my opinion, that Alabama can win. Alabama's going to be taking on Waldrop, Hurston Waldrop. Hurston Waldrop is going to be taking the mound for the Florida Gators. And this is good news for Alabama because Hurston Waldrop pitched the game that Alabama won. Pitched that Friday night game that Alabama ended up winning. So Alabama has seen Hurston Waldrop and has a little bit of success off of him so far. In their Friday night game, Waldrop went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs, 3 of them earned, off of 7 hits. Now he did strike out 7 batters. But Alabama ended up taking that win 6-3. So this is a guy that you've already had a little bit of success off of. Now, granted, it was 2 months ago, but this is a guy you've got to feel confident. Shoot, there's nobody with more confidence up there at Hoover right now than this Alabama baseball team. Those camo baseball hats, those are nice, and I got to get me one of those to support the team. But I bet you those camo baseball hats stink like hell. Oh my gosh! If you're not familiar with the story of what's going on there, the guys have been wearing the camo baseball hats with the script A on the front for the last several weeks, and they have been winning, and they think that they are, a superstitious part of the winning, a small part of the recipe of success. And you don't mess with the recipe of success. If something is working, especially in baseball, you continue to do it. What are some of the most interesting superstitions that you see in sports? I think this is starting to trend to be a fun superstition. The guys thinking that the camo hats are a little bit of the secret to their success. Now look, they're not dumb. They know that the camo hats aren't the secret to their success, but it's just a fun aspect to, make them continue to keep them excited to come back to the ballpark and just keep the team camaraderie high. Hey, make sure you get your camo hat. Don't forget your camo hat. We're all wearing, we're all unified, and I think you're seeing that as you're watching this baseball team. And I honestly, as a mild baseball fan, someone who watches baseball to fill the time for football and basketball, I'm excited about today. I'm ready to watch us at 4:30. Get underway up at Hoover. You're going to be able to follow our friends Austin Hannon. And I think Will Miller's going to be back up there again. So Austin covering all the SEC baseball tournament. Follow him on the Twitter machine at Austin Hannon SI. He's going to give you all kinds of boots on the ground. Look, lots of rain yesterday. It seems like the rain has subsided. And seems like we're going to stay on time and on schedule up there at Hoover. knock on wood, because that tournament traditionally gets off kilter. Very happy to get all 4 games in yesterday, and hopefully the SEC tournament will be able to get all 4 games in today as well. So looking forward to seeing Alabama taking on Florida. Now look, let's play ahead. Let's project ahead. If Alabama beats Florida, we'll all be celebrating, and I'll be hooping and hollering, saying "Roll Tide." We'll all be celebrating, but we're playing tomorrow no matter what. We're playing on Thursday, period, because we have now reached the double elimination portion of the SEC tournament. So you play Florida today at 4:30. And yeah, I think it's close to a 50-50 coin flip. I think in a one-game scenario, our boys, I think they're fearless, especially at this point in the season. You've taken down Vanderbilt, A&M, and Ole Miss in back-to-back weekends, and then you've just eliminated Kentucky from the SEC tournament. Kentucky, who will likely be hosting as well, hosting a regional site as well next week. So your confidence, Alabama, is at an all-time high. Cannot wait to see today's game at 4:30. Whatever happens, Alabama, let's just say, wins. Alabama, we're basically paired up with the Vanderbilt-Auburn matchup later in the evening. So you'll be able to, after Alabama wins or loses, stay around and watch Vanderbilt and Auburn. And if Alabama wins, that's what we'll plan for. We'll plan for an Alabama victory. Alabama wins. We're gonna play again Thursday again at 4:30. 4:30 is kind of that time. Hopefully we can make that all throughout our weekend. But 4:30 on Thursday if we win, and we'll be playing the winner of Vanderbilt and Auburn. Still with 0 in the loss column in a double elimination portion. So you win, you take on the winner of Vanderbilt and Auburn. You lose, you take on the loser of Vanderbilt and Auburn. How are we feeling about that, Alabama fans? Very likely date with the Auburn Tigers. Now Auburn, we think back to our last series with Auburn, and of course, April 14th, month and change ago, Alabama loses the first game and then wins 2 in a row to win the series right here in Tuscaloosa at Sewell Thomas Stadium. Great series, really. Auburn at that time had kind of been struggling. We all know Alabama at that time was still not struggling, but not doing great. Kind of up and down, inconsistent. You look at both teams over the last couple of weeks. After Alabama, the next hottest team in the SEC is right there, Florida and Auburn. I think Auburn has closed out their season nicely. Now they ended up taking care of business last night against Missouri, winning 10-4, and so they're riding a lot of confidence. How would you like an Alabama-Auburn loser go home game up there at Hoover tomorrow? At what time would that be? If both teams lose, it would be at it's to be determined. It'd be the second time slot. It'd be right now in 24 hours. So the first time slot, at 9:30. That second time slot, usually around 12:30, 1 o'clock, we'll be on the air. So if I am on the air right now, I'll have it in the background. We'll talk about it as we are on the air, as we cover that. But Auburn, they're coming off a series win against Missouri. Obviously, they swept Ole Miss as well. They went down, they beat LSU at home in a series. They beat South Carolina in a series. So they got 5, let's see, how many? They have 5 series victories in a row. 5 SEC series victories in a row since losing the series here at Alabama. What a great response. So setting up to be a hell of a week up there in Hoover. Setting up to be a lot of fun up there in Hoover. And I can't wait to keep covering it. Please, I encourage you to follow my man at Real WB Miller, Will Miller up there, and at Austin Hannon SI. Those guys are giving you the boots on the ground coverage. If anything weather-related happens as far as delays, they're going to be the first ones to know about it, and we really appreciate all the hard work getting up to Hoover for that event. The event is great. We hope Alabama is playing all the way to Sunday. But for now, we've at least made it to Thursday, and that's excellent. We're going to see what happens today at 4:30. Alabama taking on the Florida Gators. We're going to see likely Luke Coleman taking on Hurston Waldrop for the Florida Gators. So we'll see that at 4:30. You'll be able to watch. It on the SEC Network and follow along live right there on BamaCentral.com. We'll have our live updates as well. So let's put a pin on the baseball topics. Let's put the baseball topics away real quick, and we'll spin it to the other side of the diamond, or the other diamond sport. our friends, the ladies of softball. All right. We talked about it a little bit with Chris on Monday. Chris Walsh, at Riding Walsh on the Twitter machine. We talked about it a little bit with Chris Walsh on Monday. The girls really, look, a part of me thinks that they escaped by the skin of their teeth over the weekend. But a part of me thinks that they did exactly what they needed to do because they won without Montana Fouts. They won without Montana Fouts throughout the weekend, and I think that's incredible. I think that is the portion of the story to really, really celebrate because I think all of us who have watched the Alabama softball team this year have seen, okay, this team's got talent. This team has talent. They're just not quite clicking. They're not quite consistent. They're not quite hitting. They're not quite pitching behind Montana Fouts and behind Ashley Prangy. I mean, Prangy, her dang bat is amazing. And Fouts, her arm is amazing. But the depth was a little bit shaky. This weekend was great. I mean, from a practical standpoint, you come away with victories, you come away with close games, and you come away with experience in the pressure-packed moments. Jayla Torrance, man, I applaud you so much for your performance on Sunday. Jayla has been, I said it on Monday with Chris Walsh, Jayla, in my opinion, if you put Jayla Torrance out there and you say just throw pitches to nobody, and you just watch her, I think you'd say, wow, that's a hell of a pitcher. That's a pitcher that I would have a hard time hitting. That's a pitcher that lots of Division I athletes will have a hard time hitting. But we've seen Jayla struggle. We've seen Jayla get into moments, get into pressure-packed moments, have a batter in the batter's box, and struggle before. Not always, but before. But there's been struggles. I think this past weekend, shutting out MTSU really was such an important game for her, and such an important moment in her career that hopefully she'll be able to take into the coming weeks and the coming season and say, you know what, I can do this. I can rise to the challenge. I don't need mommy Montana Fouts to come in and save me. Now, Montana was warming up in the bullpen on Sunday, and Patrick Murphy said, he told Katie Wyndham yesterday that Montana Fouts was available in an emergency situation, that she would have been okay to pitch on that Sunday. So with that kind of framework being in mind, and Northwestern coming to town, because Northwestern is coming to town after winning their regional, Northwestern beating Kentucky and several others in their regional, Northwestern's coming to town, and they're not going to be afraid. Northwestern softball, they've had a good season. They obviously hosted their own regional, 41-11, so they're not afraid. They beat number 6 Texas. They played against Tennessee. They played Clemson, who's one of the top teams in the country. They played with UCLA very, very close. You know, Alabama lost to UCLA as well at the very beginning of the season. Well, Northwestern competed in the Mary Nutter Classic out in California and competed with UCLA as well. So Northwestern's not coming in here. Hey, they ain't coming in here to mess around. They're not coming in here to lose. They're not coming in here just to be eliminated. Look at this as you continue scrolling through their schedule. Northwestern with 2 victories over Auburn, a 2-1 loss at Oklahoma out there in big bad Oklahoma Boomer Sooner territory. So this team is not coming in here to lay down. This team is not coming in here just to get eliminated, and Alabama's going to have to be ready. Northwestern over the weekend beating Eastern Illinois, Kentucky 10-8, and then Miami of Ohio 5-4 to advance to our Super Regional. What are we going to do? What are we going to do with Montana Fouts? What are we going to do with Miss Montana Fouts and her availability, her health? Now, obviously, you want Montana to perform if she's healthy. I think that the last thing that Coach Patrick Murphy is going to do is risk Montana's long-term health. And I'm confident of that. So, do you lean on Alex Salter? Do you lean on Jayla Torrance? Do you lean on your backup pitchers as you bring in a team that is coming in with no fear, that is coming in and has already played some of the best in college softball throughout the entire season? Do you put it on Miss Montana Fouts? I think Friday night's going to be interesting. What will Patrick Murphy do? Look, he's not going to tell me. He's not going to tell you. It's unfortunate. I already called him. He said, Joe, I love you, but I can't tell you because you're just going to tell the world. You got a big blabber mouth. So Patrick Murphy didn't tell me. But what I think he should do, I think we should see Miss Jayla Torrance on Friday night. I think Jayla should be out there on Friday, and I think that she should lead this Alabama team. Because, look, while Montana is obviously the most talented pitcher on the roster, next season, 2024 comes around, Jayla Torrance is probably your lead ace. Now, things could happen. That's a long time from now. It's lots of, transfer portal things could happen, and wild things will happen in college sports. But if Jayla Torrance is going to go into your 2024 season as your lead dog, as your ace, as your taking the circle night in and night out, I say you go ahead and put the pressure on her. You put the pressure on her and you say, Northwestern's coming to town. We want you to get us off to a win. We want you to get us win number 1. And we'll bring in Montana on Saturday to try to close the door. I don't think you hold Montana to Sunday, if necessary, but all of this obviously plays into how healthy is she really. If she's not healthy, then you ain't going to see her. If she's not healthy, she's going to sit on the bench. Patrick Murphy, were you lying to my friend Katie Wyndham yesterday? I don't think you were. You're not that kind of guy. I never get that sense from you. I think that Patrick Murphy does a great job with the media. I think Coach Murphy, you usually give the media an honest answer, and usually, obviously all coaches protect team information, but I think Coach Murphy puts out what he can. So I don't think that he lied to Katie Wyndham. I think Montana Fouts was available on Sunday, and if she was available on Sunday, then she's available again on Friday, Saturday, Sunday this coming up week. Another week's rest though. Ooh, another week's rest for Miss Montana Fouts, and then we head out to the College World Series out in Oklahoma City and take on Big Bad Oklahoma and the likes of the others trying to win a national championship. If we can rest her, if we can rest Montana, I think that's the best move. So, Coach, as we head into the weekend with Northwestern, Coach Murphy, I encourage you to put the pressure back on your 3 pitchers, Jayla Torrance, Alex Salter, and Lauren Essman. You had a good result this past week, and the 3 girls got it done. They got it done in excellent fashion. I think Salter had herself a fine game. Now Essman on Sunday, a little bit of struggle against MTSU. But look, you're just going to see that sometimes when you get down the line. When you get down the line from not our number 1 starter, our number 2, 3, 4. Essman's probably your 4th starter. Of course, you're going to get shaky sometimes. But I'm excited for this coming weekend. I'm excited because Allie Shipman saw the ball go out of the park over the weekend, and you haven't seen that from her in quite a minute. I think if you get more bats involved behind Ashley Prangy, and you're seeing that from the SEC tournament, and you're seeing that as well in the regionals. The small ball really getting going. Larissa Pruitt, Ashley White as well. You're seeing a lot of girls getting on base and getting after it, putting the ball into play. Bailey Dowling, I owe you an apology. I was getting on Bailey Dowling in a lot of communication, correspondent group chats throughout the year. That, oh my gosh, I need her to come on, get it going. Bailey Dowling, when the moment matters most in the SEC tournament, getting a big old hit, and then really, I think she's becoming part of a better part of this offense as the season continues to roll on. So I'm excited for our girls. I'm excited for the guys today. The guys taking on Florida at 4:30. You're going to be able to see our coverage right there on BamaCentral.com. And we're going to be able to follow Katie Wyndham's coverage on Friday on BamaCentral.com. Be sure to follow all of our reporters. We are putting reporters out in every – when Alabama is competing, we, Bama Central, are there. And so I'm really looking forward to being a part of that team and a part of that program. Before we get out of here, let's do just a little bit of football. Let's have a little bit of football fun. And I was just trying to have a little fun yesterday on the Twitter machine with the Twitter poll, and a lot of you guys interacted and participated. I appreciate that. Yesterday on the Twitter machine, I asked, come on, we're doing hypothetical summer conversations. Football's not really here, so we're playing silly little games. I asked, you are the defender running the Oklahoma drill. If you don't know the Oklahoma drill because they banned it before you got to play football, I'm sorry. But it's obvious, it's basically just a one-on-one drill, running back, ball carrier, ball carrier on one side, defender on the other, a small shoot, so there's no real running away. It's essentially just run through the defender or run through the ball carrier. All right, you're the defender on the Oklahoma drill, and you have to decide, or you get to decide, who do you want to try to tackle? all these guys in their healthiest Alabama Crimson Tide form. Derrick Henry, Trent Richardson, or Eddie Lacy were your options. Obviously all bad options. Terrible options. Derrick Henry would plant me 6 feet under. Trent Richardson, the same. And Eddie Lacy would leave me spinning in a spin cycle. I think that all three men would permanently injure me. Going back to our Monday conversation with Chris Walsh, I don't know about a broken orbital bone, but all three men, dangerous runners. I tried to pick the three most physical runners that I could pick out in the Nick Saban era. And of course, I tried to make it intentionally not fun. You don't want to obviously tackle Richard Mullaney and Slade Bolden and walk on X, Y, or Z. No. Of course you have a good chance of getting those guys down. Let's make it hard. Who do you not want to see? I don't want to see Derrick Henry for my life, but I really don't want to see Trent Richardson. I mean, a lot of people think about Trent Richardson and they think about his post-college career, his time with the Cleveland Browns and his time with the Indianapolis Colts, his time in the AAF with the Birmingham Iron, and several other stops. My man Trent Richardson was a bully behind Mark Ingram. You stop Mark Ingram in that 09 season and you're starting to feel good about yourself, that 09-10 season, and boom, Trent Richardson comes in and pops off 65 yards in a national championship game because you finally took a little rest and you saw 22 come off the field and 3 go in. There ain't no right answers here on who do you think you have the best chance at tackling. I guess maybe it's Eddie Lacy, and Eddie Lacy did get the most votes. We had 86 participants right now. You can go ahead and vote if you want to at Joe Gaither 6 on the Twitter machine. 43% saying they'd have the best chance at tackling Eddie Lacy. 36% of people saying they'd have the best chance at tackling one Trent Richardson, and Derrick Henry. Getting 21% of the votes. All right, hey, my man, I want to go out to our comments because we got a couple comments. Sorry, James, I didn't mean to not see them earlier. But my man James Ludeman chiming in on the Facebook side of things on the comments. Appreciate you doing that. You can jump in. Montana won't beat 100%. But her presence, even at 75%, is worth her being out there. I think you're right. I mean, I don't think she's going to be at 100%. I agree. And that's why I say we start Jayla Torrance on that Friday night. I think starting Jayla on that Friday night, you leave Montana kind of hanging out on the shelf. You're available. You're not quite in yet, but you're there in case things get really out of hand. That Friday night, I think you really are dedicated to having Torrance, Salter, and Essman carry you through. Because if elimination is not on the line, I don't want to play Montana Fouts. If elimination becomes on the line, that's when I think you get Montana in. Whether you get the chance to eliminate Northwestern or Northwestern's looking at eliminating Alabama, I think that's when you throw in Montana Fouts in that situation, whether she is 75, 85, 90%. I think that's when you see her. So we're... Okay, and one more comment from my man James Ludeman saying Northwestern survived their Regional 2, got a very gracious call at the end of the elimination game, but they are a solid team. I got to take your word on it, James. I did not see the controversial call at the end of their game, but I'm expecting them to come in. I'm expecting them to come in and really be fearless. I mean, looking through their schedule, they have already played the who's who of college softball. Get out to the get out to the Rhodes House. Get out to the Rhodes House this weekend. If nothing else, I can promise you it's the last time Montana Fouts will be competing at the Rhodes House. And that in and of itself is worth the price of admission, is worth getting over to the Rhodes House. I think that, you put Montana on the Mount Rushmore of, we put Montana Fouts on the Mount Rushmore of Alabama athletics right now. That could be a good conversation for later in the week. Who all would be on that Mount Rushmore, I guess, for current and for all time. Does Montana get on it all time? I don't know. I'll probably have to bring somebody on with a little more expertise, a little more memory than I do. But golly, over the last 5 years, Montana, you're definitely on it over the last 5 years. Whew. I will never forget being at the Rhodes House for the 2021 SEC tournament and seeing her strike out some 35 batters, something of the matter. Just incredible performance for her in that SEC tournament. And I hope that she can pitch one more time successfully in the Rhodes House, and we can see the girls get all the way to Oklahoma City. All right, so we'll put a pin in the program for today. We're going to get on out of here. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at Joe Gaither 6 at Bama Central. Find me on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, all the places. My username is the same, at Joe Gaither 6. That's where you can find me for all the content. I really appreciate Bama Central and the Bama Central Broadcasting Network for putting us on. I want to tell you and remind you, we're going to have a couple other podcasts. We got obviously the All Things Bama podcast. We have Blue Collar Unplugged as well with Matthew Gibson and my friend Blake Byler. So we're really excited about what we're going to be bringing right here on the Bama Central Network. So big thanks to Chris Walsh for letting me have another day. Big thanks to you, the listener, for putting up with us and tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show. We'll hopefully be recapping a Florida win. We'll be setting up a little bit further on the NCAA Regional, continue talking the NCAA Tournament, and talk all things Alabama Crimson Tide. For Joe Gaither, that's me, and for you, the listener, hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Have a great day, and roll Tide.